Welcome to 12 Dreamy Days of the Hero's Journey. And today is day 7. We are in the belly of the whale. Can you feel it? Isn't it a little chilly in there? It's kind of amazing. So if you're watching this video out of sequence, I'm Kelly Sullivan Walden, aka Dr. Dream, and I am joined by a most incredible and fabulous human, one of my personal heroes, Sheroes, Suzanne Rock. So grateful that she's joined me. Welcome, Suze.
Thanks, Kelly. It's great to be here.
So one of the things that I want to talk about in this series is how people can be heroic in everyday moments and access their inner hero. What is their inner hero? And to me, you're that for me, because in our history, which is pretty long at this point, even though we're so very young, we're just so young, but we've known each other for how long have we known each other? Almost 25 years.
Almost 25, yeah.
Half my life I've known you. And from the very beginning, it's been deep, and there's been a sisterhood. I've always trusted you. I feel like I could tell you anything, even the things that I hadn't dared to tell myself, I could tell you. And there's something about your presence and the way that you navigate through difficult times and the way that you continuously show up and you're authentic. I want people to get a sense of you and maybe how you do that. I mean, I don't know if anybody can be like you, but get a little bit of a flavor of you. So let's just start with, oh, by the way, I want people to know that Suzanne's got a book that will be coming out one of these days soon called The Self-Full Woman. So maybe a little bit of that will weave into this. But let me just get your definition first of a hero in your mind. What's that?
A hero. So for me, a hero would be masculine energy.
Okay.
And what a hero for me, speaking of just not gender, but just masculine, would be someone that shows up, someone that has success in the outer world. Like everything is seen. So the masculine is about attaining, degrees, anything that you can measure. Someone like mastering the outside world. Feels heroic and masculine to me. Someone that would show up, someone that would die for you, someone that has your back, but everything can be seen. He's like the master of the outer world.
Oh, that is a beautiful distinction and totally different than what I've been hearing so far in this series. I'm learning so much. It's like the best way to get the best education is just put one of these little summits together and whoa, who needs higher education? Harvard, whatever. You don't have nothing on this. Okay, so what's a Shero?
A Shero would be the feminine energy. And to me, so I would say the masculine is all about doing and the feminine is all about being. So the masculine would be dynamic, where the feminine would be magnetic. I would say the superpower of feminine would be being able to be with anything, being able to hold space, the ability to integrate, the ability to come back to center. I feel like she's a little more of the unseen world, like dreams or magic or grace, or all for me lives in the feminine energy, like the unseen.
Oh, and in many ways, our society doesn't value that very much. We value what matters, the stuff that you can measure and touch and hold. So it's like the feminine values don't matter because they are not of matter, not material.
I can hear that. I also think that people...
Everybody wants to call because you're on. They know it. We're getting the call to adventure even now.
That's right. So I think that people do value the unseen. I don't know.
Right. No, I don't mean 100%, but I mean culturally, it seems like there's a tending toward well, what have you done? What's on your resume? What you got?
Where do you work, right?
As opposed to
Right.
how are you feeling, and
Yeah.
how have you been taking care of yourself lately? Like at a cocktail party, that's not
Right. People aren't, when they're saying, how are you? They're not always checking in on how's your inner world. You know, are you well? How are you coping with things? It's more surface. Is that what you're saying?
I guess so. I mean, I think that, I mean, I love that we're having this conversation because I feel like it's making me feel softer. I'm feeling like my more feminine, my Shiro aspect is feeling tended to right now.
Nice.
And valued. And I know that I have been very masculine oriented, more hero-esque in my life. And I noticed that there's a difference in the feeling. If I tend to the inner world, there's this vibrancy that doesn't happen. I become just a shell, like an automaton otherwise. So thank you for that. Is there a Shiro and maybe a hero that you look up to, or that you would say those are your people if you needed to get inspired? Is there a hero that you look up to, or a Shiro that comes to mind? I think I know one Shiro that comes to your mind.
I have a few, but lately I would say that my mom and my dad.
Oh.
And it's been nice because I feel like it's been a full circle, a full circle of going through years of being mad at them or having ideas about the way they didn't do it right. And then that like fallen away. And now I can just present to how completely diverse they are. My dad is a Republican. Has the biggest heart. He's a guy that would show up on time. He would die for his family, for his country. He's got this, like, he shows up, you know, and I love that about him. And he's funny, and he's an adventurer. He was a naval pilot in the Navy for 20 years, and he's 83. He's still jumping out of planes.
What?
So he's like taking physical risks. And so I kind of dig that about him. You know, he lost his wife 2 years ago, and he says, I'm going to mourn for 6 months. I'm not going to be one of those people that's just going to die because their spouse died. And he did. He met another woman. He's engaged. One of their first dates was jumping out of a plane. And I just, so I love how.
That's where you get it.
Yeah. So I would say I love my dad. If I called my dad at any time, he would show up. He'd be here for me.
Wow.
So for me, that's masculine. And then my mom, they're so different. It's so fascinating. My mom loves ceremony and ritual, and she was a hospice RN for 36 years and was able to be with and help families navigate death in like a ritualistic, beautiful way. And if I think of my mom always sees the best in me. Like, she's so, anytime I come with her with an idea to my mom, she's just like, oh, so excited and supportive. My dad would be different. My dad would be like, well, you have, you know, what about this? If you're not doing the steps right, or, you know,
have you thought about this? Have you thought it through?
That, you know?
Right.
So, but my mom is just like this loving space of acceptance. And my dad challenges. My dad's like physical challenge. But I love how those show up in me. Except when I don't, because sometimes, you know, like really. Like
speaking of that, let's talk about like one of your challenges to your hero/Shiro's path, like you being the self-full version. So maybe you need to give a little distinction of the selfless, selfish,
sure,
self-full, and then what your challenge is there.
Okay, so I'll be brief. So I have two kind of archetypes, the masculine and feminine, that through one time when I was sick, I came up with these distinctions that the masculine part of me was kind of selfish. It's all about individuation, you know, success out in the world, what am I going to do? And kind of focused on themselves, not really others, focused on who am I separate from others. Selfish, not even in a bad way. Like, we need to feel confident about who we are, You know,
Right.
there's pitfalls to that when you think you're better than.
Well, that's extreme.
There's some shadow stuff to it. And then the feminine is all about being selfless, you know, giving to others, putting other people's needs before your own. It's the mother who never gets rest, and the benefit of that is the importance of learning connection, putting other people before ourselves. There's beauty in that. That's selfless.
Mm-hmm.
There's also, and I think in our culture, that's really, people value that a lot. Like, oh, she's so selfless. But the shadow of that is you can be exhausted, worn out.
A martyr.
Yeah. So I think of those two archetypes as myths, kind of like each one created a story about how men are, how women are. This is what they do. And there's like sometimes this battle between the two of them. What the selfful woman is, which is like my higher self. She's kind of the one that gets the executive decision. She's like, okay, Susie, I name him too, my masculine Susie. She's kind of this badass, you know, on the court, you know, she'll help people move. And she's really, I just be physical, and she can be intense. I love her, but I don't necessarily want her raising my kids. But
she knows how to dance.
She knows how to dance. Yes, she does. She's
not afraid to like do some flips.
That's true. And then, so I feel like there's this battle between these two. So I have this third person or ruler or queen. I think of her as a queen who gets to say, okay, Suzanne, I need you to show up right now. This is my friend's going through a hard time. She needs soft love, openness. And so I get a call on these two energies, but those two energies left to their own devices doesn't go very well. Like, you know, I'll go, collapse. So that would be selfful. Selfful is the ability to love and accept both of those archetypes, but they don't get to rule the show. They don't get to have the driver's wheel. They have their own individual skills and talents, and I'm able to call on those in any situation.
I just got something, and this is probably a big duh to you, but without selfful, like if there's selfish, let's do it the other way, selfless, because I know I can think of several people that I know that are super, super generous, super giving until they snap. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, it's mine. Like, what about me? And then they become like, whoa, where'd that come from? And it's like they have to reclaim themselves.
Yes.
And then there's like this remorse that kicks in, and then they kind of find their way back, and then they're back to being super generous until they snap, and then they're back to like, and it feels like this not so merry-go-round will just keep happening.
Feels like a bad marriage is what it is.
Like Lady Gaga glamorizes it, a bad romance, which sounds so sexy, but in reality, I'm like, oh yeah, bad romance, but I've been there. No, it's not good. Right? Yeah. Totally. But without the presence of selfful,
right,
then you can't get off the not so merry-go-round, the very opposite of merry-go-round, or the whatever that is. It's just this loop that just keeps going. So so this selfful, so selfful seems like with the part of the hero/shero's journey is the belly of the whale. Mm-hmm. And I'm envisioning that it's big enough to hold everything. And there may be qualities, at least this is how I picture the belly of the whale, that it's the part of me that can hold everything and it drops in. And so how do you tell me some more about selfful, and how do you hold those things, have them without them having you?
Empathy. Empathy, the ability to, when I get furious over something, I slow down and I think about, well, why am I furious? Well, when that person said that, didn't meet my need for kindness or consideration. Oh, wow, kindness and consideration are really important to me. I don't do it out loud. This is all internal. And then I know if I'm going for consideration, what my need is, then I bring consideration to that other person. So it's like empathy diffuses any upset or breakdown. Like it helps me get connected to what's behind that, what's fueling that. And it's like having a loving relationship with like a parent to two children. So it's like if Susie's having a tantrum, I'm not going to be mad at her. I'm just going to be like, whoa, 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 whoa. And then Suzanne, okay, I'm confusing my things. So I'm asking, I have too many people in here.
Help!
Help me. Somebody help.
We need a babysitter.
I do. So it's just, I mean, the big thing is empathy, is slowing down and empathizing what's driving each one. And then Victoria, my self-full, gets to choose what actions we're going to take. Sometimes it's, I'm going to think about that. If I'm in a relationship with someone else and I'm getting furious, I could say, well, I'm going to think about that. I'm going to take a break. So so it's like the Victoria, the self-full, gets to make the executive decisions. But there's like this loving compassion, because if that isn't there, these ones will go amok. Susie will say stuff and spew on people, or Suzanne will totally go guilt, shame, withdraw, not pick up the phone, completely, selfish would be you're wrong, and then selfless is I'm wrong. So having that distinction I can stop those, and
I
can slow them down.
As you're saying this, I just, one of the other heroes in this series is Pat Allen, Dr. Pat Allen. And
love Pat Allen.
One of her books is called Conversational Rape. And I'm like, whoa. And basically she's saying exactly what you just said, that there's 3 different ways to communicate, where you either dominate, or you submit, or you find a healthy win-win. And I love that she's that extreme, that if you're not looking for the win-win coming from a self-full place, she didn't say self-full, she didn't use your distinctions, but I feel like you just added a level of clarity. If you don't, I love that she makes it that extreme. It's like conversational rape. You're raping someone, or you're getting raped. And there's a way out of that loop. It's so important. And to slow it down even a drop more, I hear your voice in my head in moments where I feel like I'm having a tantrum, where I'm pissed off. And there was one moment in particular, just so that we can drive this home, because I really want people to get this. Here's the quick little version. My favorite coffee cup that my friend Joey Sutton made, who's also a part of this series, by the way. My favorite coffee cup, I was trying to bring in a bunch of stuff from the porch in the house. I had too many things in my hand. The cup fell on the ground and it broke into a million tiny pieces. And I was like, ah! And Dana looked at me and he's like, why were you carrying so much stuff? And I was like, wrong thing to say. So I literally walked away, and I heard your voice in my head say, not empathy, but self-empathy. Self-empathy. And because that's such a radical word. That's not a word. I mean, I've heard empathy, compassion, but self-empathy is kind of startling. Like, what does that mean? So I literally walked kind of around the house, and I said, okay, I'm going to tell myself what I wished he would have said. And but first I'm going to get in touch with what my needs are here. What my needs are I was needing understanding. I was needing some kind of like, what's the word for, honey, I'm so sorry you dropped your favorite cup. Some sympathy, some like
compassion for that you really loved that cup.
Yeah. And even here's my big one. This is a hard one to admit. And I don't know exactly how to word this, but I always want Dana to be proud of me. And there's some part of me that wanted him to say, God, you do so much. You look at you trying to carry just too much because you're always doing so much. Like I wanted that instead of, and I know that he meant it in a way to be helpful. Like, don't carry so much stuff and you won't break your favorite cup next time. Like it was a contribution. Right. But I heard myself do the self-empathy where I got alive to what was hurt, what I needed. And that totally diffused me. So I didn't have to go completely batshit crazy, which he would have been defensive about, because he was just trying to help. Right. He wasn't trying to hurt me, kick me when I'm down. No. He was trying to give me a solution so it wouldn't happen the next time. So I could get all of that. So anyway, that was one instance where I got it right. Yeah. There's been many where I haven't, but I do hear your voice in my head when I'm pissed. It's usually or pissed or hurt, and usually it's hurt, and then pissed covers that up.
Right. Right.
I hear your voice in my head say self-empathy, like, give it to yourself, girlfriend, and then understand him. Like, I couldn't understand what was alive in him wanting to contribute until I could understand what was alive in me. Then I could have that perspective. So just want to thank you for that. That's like a heroic moment to me. I'm in this series, I'm accumulating these #hero hacks, like quick ways that you can get on track when you fall off. So can you think of another? I mean, I know you've got 1,000 up your sleeve, but if you feel like you're just like in the belly of the whale, and not in a good way, like feeling like you're like, what, I don't know, like maybe gone or lost or whatever, how do you bring yourself back? Or do you even feel like you're not on it, even in those moments? How do you do that?
So I want to make sure I understand your question correctly. So when I'm in the belly of the whale, when I'm dealing with something that feels big or overwhelming?
I guess I'm wanting, because you and all of the heroes in this series really, in many ways, are exemplary, like living in such a way that I think people could put you on a pedestal and say, wow, they're not even human. But when you're feeling like you can't do what's in front of you to do, you can't do the heroic or sheroic thing, you're wanting to maybe indulge in maybe your lower nature or a part of you that would, I don't know, be self-sabotaging. Sorry. Let me clarify it even more.
Okay.
What is the hardest thing that you face on your path to being like your best, most full self?
I think the hardest thing is when I get stuck in one of those archetypes, because I would say they think and communicate in a very different way than Victoria. Victoria is more of the observer and is able to see kind of that everything's connected and has compassion and love for it all. But when I'm stuck in, and I would say that the masculine feminine part of myself communicate in, it's more duality, it's more right, wrong, good, bad. Masculine would be they're wrong, I'm right. Selfless would be I'm wrong, they're right. So it's like this, and if I get stuck believing that that's true, I really struggle. And what gets me out of that, I mean, sometimes I can do it myself. If I notice Susie, my masculine's got me, it's usually something physical, like dance or running or something visible, right? And then if it's my feminine, baths, wine.
Years. Wine.
Drugs. No, I'm just kidding.
But something to bring you more.
Yeah, like wine, comfort. And then if I'm still stuck, then I go to my lifeline people. And I reach out to friends that I know can support me and help me be the observer for me when I can't. When I can't be my own observer, when I'm so in it that I can't get out, then I ask for help. And that's new. Before I'd go months sometimes with depression or months angry and right and making that person wrong. And, so that's what I do is I find out how can I do it myself? I have my go-tos: wine, bath, comfort, audiobooks. I mean, not wine, wine every day. No. But things that nurture and comfort me. And the masculine would be like physical
awesome.
Emotion. Yeah.
So what is the belly of the whale to you? I mean, I know you're super familiar with the hero's journey. When you, like, how would you describe that stage, or the innermost cave, which is also kind of another way of saying that same stage? What is that? I used to hate that stage. I used to go, I'm in the belly of the whale. I've kind of learned to love that stage these days. But What's your relationship to it? What is it to you? How would you describe it?
I would describe that as kind of a time to stop, a time to not fight, flight, freeze, to just slow down and listen and ask questions. What do I need? And then either I can navigate that, and if I can't, then I ask for help to navigate that through therapy, through my friends, through whatever, whatever medium.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to do a little, I'm doing this on each of these calls, most of these. I'm going to shuffle the cards, and then you'll pick one, and then we'll see which one. This will be like the message for the day, for you and for me and for all of us. So
okay, great.
You get to like say when to stop and I
saw one, but it went away. Okay, stop right there.
Right there?
Okay, yeah.
Let me see, this one or this one?
The one behind it. Yeah.
Bam, shabam.
Bam, shabam.
Bam, shabam. Okay, this one. Ooh. This is one I haven't picked before. Okay, this one's called Making the Grade with Flying Colors. Remember, you signed up for this. This is card 32. Okay, so this is in the stage called The Road of Trials, or The Tests, Allies, and Enemies. The quote is from Byron Katie. When they attack you, oh, this is one of my favorite quotes ever. Yeah. When they attack you and you notice that you love them with all your heart, your work is done. Oh, God, that's good. The message is, when you're tested, confronted by an obstacle, or challenged by someone, tune into your favorite radio station, WIIFM. What's in it for me? Ask yourself what is right about the situation and how it might make you stronger. Look for the gift in the challenge and for the opportunity to put what you've learned to the test. When you look for the lesson and the blessing in the situation, you will always find it. You have a unique curriculum, and you've co-created the aspects of your life that are testing you right now, so you can grow to your fullest potential. You knew long ago that you would emerge through these trials brighter, better, and wiser. Remember, you have access to the teacher's manual with all the answers to the problems you are being graded on. When you see yourself in everyone and everything, your defenses soften, your heart opens, and your learning curve is off the charts. From an alchemic perspective, you can transform your so-called enemies and challenges into divine opportunities for maximum awakening. The dream symbol is school. Dreams about being back at school. Missing a test or being late to a class signify that you're being tested, judged, or graded in your life. You may be trying to prove your worthiness to yourself and the world. You might also be letting go of the imposter syndrome, the erroneous belief that you don't deserve the high marks or success you achieve. The mantra is, I choose these lessons and have all the answers I need to succeed. And this is the card. To me, it looks like it's like being in the swirl of school. Like, I just love, woo!
It's beautiful, yeah.
I love Rasuli's art. So that will be the message for the day. Suzanne Rock, I so appreciate you. The best web page for people to find you at,
Suzanne-rock.com.
Suzanne-rock.com. Perfect. And everyone look out for The Self-Full Woman. And there will be a series, I promise you, more than chicken soup, I bet, with all many, many books to come. Suzanne, thank you for being my shiro today, and for making the belly of the whale just a luscious, lovely place to hang out today. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So everyone, point at yourself and say, I'm a hero on a hero's journey, or I'm a shiro on a shiro's journey. And go out and get your hero, shiro on, and have a dreamy day. Until we meet again, sweet dreams.